Hello everyone. In this session, I am going to talk about the thyroid gland. So the thyroid gland is an endocrine gland and it is situated in the in front and side of the neck at the level of C5, C6, C7 and G1. If you talk about the parts of the thyroid gland consists of two lateral lobes, and these two lateral lobes, they are connected across the midline by isthmus. So, if we see the shape of the gland, it's somewhat H shape. Consists of two lateral lobes and they are connected by isthmus. If we see the extension of this lateral lobe extends above up to the oblique line of thyroid cartilage. Below, it extends up to the fifth or sixth tracheal ring. When we talk about the isthmus, this isthmus lies in front of the second, third and fourth tracheal ring. So this is about the parts. So parts, they consist of two lateral lobes. These two lateral lobes, they are connected by the isthmus. You can see one important lobe. This is called as pyramidal lobe. This pyramidal lobe, where it arises from the upper border of isthmus. This pyramidal lobe is connected to the hyoid bone by one important band. That band is called as fibromuscular band. What's the name of the fibrous muscular band? Is the levator glandulae thyroideae. So this is the muscular band. Now let's see the capsule of the gland. So if we talk about any gland, it is covered by capsule. So the capsule, the thyroid gland, it is covered by true capsule and false capsule. So the true capsule is derived from gland itself. So the true capsule is derived from condensation of fibrous stroma of gland itself. What about the false capsule? The false capsule is derived from pretracheal layer of deep cervical fascia. Pretracheal layer of deep cervical fascia. So if we see the attachment of pretracheal deep cervical fascia in the thyroid gland, it will be very thin along the posterior border of the thyroid gland and will be thick in the medial surface of the thyroid gland. So this pretracheal layer of deep cervical fascia, I already mentioned, it will be thick on the medial surface and forming an important ligament. That ligament is called as suspensory ligamentum of Berry. This suspensory ligament of Berry, which connects the thyroid gland with the cricoid cartilage. This is the reason the thyroid gland will be moved up and down during time of deglutitions. So this is about the capsule. Next we will go for the relation. So relations for lateral lobe. Next we will go for the relations for lateral lobe. So if you see the lateral lobe, the shape will be the pyramidal in shape. Pyramidal in shape. If we see the parts of the lateral lobe, it consists of apex, base. So this is the apex, this is the base. And we have three surfaces. So in this diagram you can see this is the medial surfaces. You can see in this diagram, this is a transverse section. You can see this is the thyroid gland. This is a two lateral lobe and they are connected by the isthmus. So this is the medial surface. What I am showing, this is the medial surface and this is the anterolateral surface and here this is the posterolateral surface. So we are having anterolateral surface and posterolateral surface. So we are having three surfaces. So we are having medial surface, anterolateral surface and posterolateral surface. Now we'll go for the relation for each parts. First we'll go for apex. Apex of thyroid gland. So you can see in this diagram. So this is the apex of the thyroid gland. So this is the apex. So I already mentioned this apex will be extend above. It's above up to the oblique line of thyroid cartilage. Oblique line of thyroid cartilage. Here you can see in the oblique line the three important muscles will be attached. So what are the three muscles? This is the thyrohyoid muscle, and this is the sternothyroid muscle, and this is the inferior constrictor muscles. So this apex of the thyroid gland will be extends above up to the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage. It will be sandwiched between sternothyroid and inferior constrictor. So it lies between these two, sternothyroid muscles and inferior constrictor of pharynx. So this is about the apex, and here the apex is related to an important artery. We can see this diagram. This is about the superior thyroid artery. You can see this is the apex of the thyroid gland. In the apex, the one important artery will be extend downward. That is the superior thyroid artery. Along with superior thyroid artery, you can see one important nerve, external laryngeal nerve. So the apex of the thyroid gland, it is related to superior thyroid artery and external laryngeal nerve. So this is about the apex. When we talk about the base, so this is the base. The base extends up to the 5th or 6th tracheal ring. And the base is related to one important artery. You can see in this diagram. This is the inferior thyroid artery, and one important nerve, that is the recurrent laryngeal nerve. So the base is related with inferior thyroid artery and recurrent laryngeal nerve. So this is about the relation for apex and base. So you can again I'll repeat about apex. So the apex will be extend above up to the oblique line of thyroid cartilage, and it will be sandwiched between, or it lies between sternothyroid and inferior constrictor of pharynx. And then apex is related to one important artery and nerve, that is the superior thyroid artery and external laryngeal nerve. And what about the base? The base is related to 5th or 6th tracheal ring, and the base is related to one important artery, that is the inferior thyroid artery and recurrent laryngeal nerve. So this is about the apex and base. And next we'll go for the one important relation, that is anterolateral surfaces. So this anterolateral surfaces, you can see in this diagram, this is the anterolateral surfaces. So this anterolateral surfaces is covered by strap muscles. You can see here, this anterolateral surface is covered by strap muscles. So what are strap muscles? You can see here, this is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. This is a very key muscles in the neck. Just beneath the sternocleidomastoid muscles, we can see one important muscle, that is the sternohyoid muscle and superior belly of omohyoid muscles. Deep to that, we can see one more muscle, that is the sternothyroid muscles. So this is the relation. So the anterolateral surface is covered by strap muscles. So what are the relation? First we are having a sternocleidomastoid muscles, number 1. Number 2 will be the sternohyoid muscle. Number 3 will be the superior belly of omohyoid muscle. Number 4 will be the sternothyroid muscle. So anterolateral surface is covered by strap muscles. Next we will go for the posterolateral surface. This posterolateral surface is related to carotid sheath and content. Carotid sheath, you can see in this diagram, this is the carotid sheath and its contents. We have a common carotid artery, interjugular vein and vagus nerve. And then one important plexus, that is the ansa cervicalis. This ansa cervicalis, where it is embedded in the anterior wall of the carotid sheath. So here you can see the ansa cervicalis. And behind the carotid sheath, you can see the sympathetic trunk. So this are the relation for posterolateral surface. Anterocervicalis and sympathetic trunk. So this is about the posterolateral surfaces. Next we'll go for the medial surfaces. So the medial surfaces is related to two tubes. So in this diagram you can see this is a medial surfaces. Here you can see the two tubes. Number one will be the trachea. So behind the trachea we can see one tube, that is the esophagus. So the medial surfaces is related to two tubes, that is a trachea and esophagus. And also is related to two cartilage. What are the two cartilages? We can see the medial surfaces. We can see thyroid cartilage and cricoid. We can see this diagram. So this is a medial surface. It's related to thyroid cartilage and cricoid cartilage. Thyroid cartilage and cricoid cartilage. And also you can see the two muscles. Number one will be the inferior constrictor muscles and then will be the cricothyroid muscles. So from the cricoid cartilage, here the muscles arises from the cricoid cartilage to the thyroid cartilage, that is the cricothyroid muscle. So the medial surface is related to the inferior constrictor and cricothyroid muscle. So the medial surfaces is related to the two tubes, that is the trachea and esophagus, and the two cartilage, that is the thyroid cartilage and cricoid cartilage, and two muscles will be the inferior constrictor and cricothyroid muscles. So this is about the medial surfaces. And next we will go for the borders. So we having this borders, we having two borders, that is the anterior border and posterior border. So first this anterior border is going to separate anteromedial surface and medial surfaces. So you can see, imagine this is a thyroid gland. So this is a thyroid gland, somewhat pyramidal shape. So this is the apex, this is the base, and this is the anterolateral surface, this is the posterolateral surface, and this is the medial surface. So this anterior border is going to separate the anterolateral surface from the medial surfaces. So this anterior border is related to one important artery, that is the anterior branch of superior thyroid artery. It is related to anterior branch of superior thyroid artery. So this is about the anterior border. So next we will go for the posterior border. This posterior border is going to separate posterolateral surface from medial surfaces. It is related to anastomosis of, that is you can see this is the posterior border, there will be anastomosis of superior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid artery. We can see the longitudinal anastomosis of superior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid artery. And then the posterior border will be the presence of one important gland. The gland is called as parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland. So this is about the borders. Next we'll go for the isthmus. So isthmus, we know this two lateral lobes, they are connected by isthmus. So if you see, this is the imagine, this is the isthmus. It consists of two borders. This is the upper border and this is the lower border. And two surfaces, we have an anterior surface and posterior surfaces. So you can see this is the upper border, lower border, anterior surface and posterior surface. We are having a two border, we are having upper border, lower border, and we are having two surfaces. So we are having anterior surface and posterior surfaces. So when we talk about the upper border relation, You can see in this diagram the anterior branch of superior thyroid artery on the both the side is get anastomosis. You can see anterior branch of both superior thyroid artery is going to get anastomosis in the upper border. In the lower border, one important vein will be emerging out, that is the inferior thyroid vein. Inferior thyroid vein will be emerging from lower border of isthmus. Once, if you can see in this diagram, usually the thyroid gland is supplied by superior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid artery. Sometimes you can see one more artery that is called as arterial thyroid ima. So this, once this artery is present, it arises from the arch of aorta, will be reach the thyroid gland passing through the lower border of isthmus. So the lower border of isthmus, you can easily remember one vein and one artery. That is inferior thyroid vein, which is emerging from the lower border of isthmus, and arterial thyroid ima will be reach the thyroid gland by passing through the lower border of isthmus. And then we are having two surfaces, anterior surface and posterior surface. This anterior surface is related to two strap muscle. We are having sternohyoid and sternothyroid muscles. Sternohyoid and sternothyroid muscles. We already mentioned this posterior surface will be rest on the trachea at the level of second, third and fourth brachial vein. So this is about the relation of isthmus. Next we go for the blood supply of thyroid gland. Blood supply of thyroid gland. So then mainly the blood supply, the thyroid gland, it receives blood from superior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid artery. So we are having superior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid artery. First we will describe about superior thyroid artery. So listen this diagram. This superior thyroid artery, it's a branch of external carotid artery. It's a branch of external carotid artery. Once it arises, what happens? It descends downwards. It descends downwards. Along with one nerve, that is very, very important. External laryngeal nerve. So here the superior thyroid artery passes downwards along with one important nerve. This is the yellow color I showed. This is the external laryngeal nerve. Once it reaches the apex of the thyroid gland, this superior thyroid artery it divides into anterior branch and posterior branch. So once it reaches the apex of thyroid gland, it divides into two branches, that is anterior branch and posterior branch. So this anterior branch, it descends downwards along the anterior border of lateral lobe, and then it reaches the upper border of isthmus and finally get anastomosis with the opposite side. Again I will repeat, this anterior branch, it passes downwards along the anterior border of lateral lobe of thyroid gland, and once it reaches the upper border of isthmus, it gets anastomosis with the opposite side. So this is about the anterior branch. Next, the posterior branch, it passes downwards along the posterior border. It gets anastomosis with ascending branch of inferior thyroid artery. So this is the inferior thyroid artery. This is the ascending branch of inferior thyroid artery. So this posterior branch is get anastomosis with the ascending branch of inferior thyroid artery. So this is about the superior thyroid artery. Next we will go for the inferior thyroid artery. So this inferior thyroid artery is a branch of thyrocervical canal. So you can see this diagram. This inferior thyroid artery is a branch of thyrocervical canal. So if you see the course of inferior thyroid artery, it passes upwards along the medial border of scalenus anterior muscle. And then it passes medially, behind the carotid sheath, and then it passes medially behind the carotid sheath and reach the base of the thyroid gland. Once it reaches the base of the thyroid gland, there will be a variable relationship with recurrent laryngeal nerve. So once it reaches the base of thyroid gland, there will be a variable relationship with recurrent laryngeal nerve. This is very important. Whereas the superior thyroid artery is accompanied with external laryngeal nerve, whereas inferior thyroid artery is accompanied with recurrent laryngeal nerve. Understand? So this inferior thyroid artery having a variable relationship with recurrent laryngeal nerve. So if you see, the superior thyroid artery will be supplied upper one third of lateral lobe of thyroid gland and upper half of isthmus. Whereas inferior thyroid artery supply lower two-third of lateral lobe and supplies lower half of the isthmus. So this is about the superior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid artery. For the venous drainage. So first vein, superior thyroid vein. This superior thyroid vein is emerging from upper pole of the thyroid gland, and where it is drained into the internal jugular vein. Next, middle thyroid vein. It's a wide venous channel, will be drains into the internal jugular vein. Next, inferior thyroid vein. This inferior thyroid vein is emerging from lower border of isthmus and drains into the brachiocephalic vein, left brachiocephalic vein. Sometimes the fourth vein is present, this is called Kocher vein, will be drains the lower pole of the thyroid gland, and where it is drained into the internal jugular vein. So this is about the venous drainage. We have a superior thyroid vein, middle thyroid vein, inferior thyroid vein, and this is the fourth vein. This is a Kocher vein. Next we will see about the clinical anatomy of thyroid gland. So first clinical anatomy we want to write, that is a goiter. That is the enlargement of thyroid gland. If we see the thyroid gland enlargement, this enlargement mainly towards backwards, because I already mentioned the false capsule is will be very thin on the back side. So what happened? This thyroid gland swelling will go backwards and will be compressed with three important structures. It will be compressed as the trachea, it will compress as the esophagus, and also it will be compressed as the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Due to compression of these structures, it leads to three important symptoms. It will compress the trachea. What happens? There will be a difficulty in breathing, that is called a dyspnea, and difficulty in swallowing, that is called as dysphagia, and there will be a compressed recurrent laryngeal nerve, there will be a dysphonia. So there will be a 3D can be remembered. There is a difficulty in breathing, dysphagia and dysphonia. So this is the three important symptoms you want to remember for goiter. Next, retrosternal goiter. Sometimes what happens, this thyroid enlargement will not extend upwards because due to attachment of sternothyroid muscles. So So what happened? It will be descend downwards. It lies behind the sternum, that is called as retrosternal goiter, because here this is very important. It will compresses the trachea and leads to difficulty in breathing. And next important point, ligation. So ligation of superior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid artery. This ligation usually done during time of thyroidectomy. Thyroidectomy means there is a removal of thyroid gland. So this ligation of superior thyroid artery should be done close to the apex of thyroid gland. So this ligation of superior thyroid artery should be done close to the apex of thyroid gland. Why? Because to avoid damage to the external laryngeal nerve. So to avoid damage to the external laryngeal nerve. Because this superior thyroid artery usually accompanied with external laryngeal nerve. Once it reaches apex position, what happens? These two structures will be diverged. So the ligation of superior thyroid artery should be done close to the apex. Whereas the ligation of inferior thyroid artery should be done away from the gland. Because what happened? Close to the gland, what happened? This inferior thyroid artery having a variable relationship with the recurrent laryngeal nerve. So it may be lies in front of the inferior thyroid artery or maybe lies behind the inferior thyroid artery. That's why it should be done away from the gland to avoid damage to the recurrent laryngeal nerve. So this is about the thyroid gland. Thank you.